Hello, and welcome to Coffee Time. Coffee Time is a space where magical humans come together for some real talk, strong coffee, and powerful introspections on whatever is top of mind right now. My name is Natalie, and I am your host for this channel and today's super exciting conversation. The idea behind Coffee Time is that you are in your favorite coffee shop, maybe cozied up with a book, and you begin to listen in on an intriguing conversation between folks at the next table over. For that reason, there is no big introduction. We absolutely let the conversation speak for itself, and if you do want to know more about these special guests following today's episode, I invite you to check out the show notes for more details. So on that note, let's dive right in.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I seriously, I knew I was excited to talk to you, but as soon as I actually saw your face, I just felt this surge of energy from my core, up into my shoulders, and I'm so happy.
I'm giving you the biggest hug right now. Oh, I know. Likewise, I feel the same with you.
Oh, that's so magical.
I know. I got my coffee because it's like, I felt like it was so fitting for.
That's perfect. I'm not gonna lie, I have kombucha, but it's some sort of flavored caffeinated beverage that's not soda.
Yeah, it's probably later where you're at too, right? Like later in the day. What time is it there?
Where are you?
I'm in California.
We're on the same time zone.
Oh, okay. Where are you again?
I'm outside of Vancouver in Canada.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Where in California are you?
I just moved up to Nevada City. It's like right outside of Tahoe.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's really cool. It's like this small little hippie town. It's
Awesome.
awesome with beautiful nature, and I just got up here. So
Oh, amazing. Well, because I know I followed your nomadic adventures of figuring out where you were going and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I have so many people I've started talking to in the last little while who are in California. And granted, California is big and lots of people live there, but it's more just interesting that I have connected online with so many specific individuals who are in California.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we talk pretty frequently. So I'm planning once it is safe and the government approves it, to do a road trip all the way through and just do a whole thing.
Dude, hit me up.
I will.
We live on this epic property, and we have a yurt outside that's heated.
Of course you do. Yeah.
There's a bed out there. So you,
amazing.
Yeah, you are more than welcome. You're more than welcome to stay.
That sounds wonderful.
And I sincerely mean that. I would love to just meet you in person, and yeah.
It's so fun, right? And all these people, I have not met them in person before, but we talk all the time. Rude cat. Sorry. That was my cat reaching out for my necklace. He's yeah. So I'm excited. Once it's safe, and then my other friend who's been on a couple Coffee Time episodes, the plan is she would come with me, my best friend, witchy friend, and we would just do a whole thing. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's going to be so much fun. Have you been to California before?
I have, but I just got a car. So this would be my first time being able to drive through I don't know if you've ever read this book, Night Train to Lisbon. There's also a movie, but I read the book. It's by Pascal Mercer. I think it's it might be the only book by him that was actually translated into English. I think originally it's in Portuguese. I'm not positive. But I read it back when I was 18. And hi, cat. He's just gazing up at me I love you. I love you. So I read it when I was 18, formative years when I was moving out to Toronto for university. And the beginning parts of the book, he's traveling and he talks about how he likes to travel by train, because traveling by plane, it's like time travel, but you miss the in between, right? And there's so much to be said for that in between in that journey. And so it's this would be the first time I'd actually as a grown up, because I've driven once to Palm Springs, but that was with my family when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That I'd be able to really just decide my own path, take it all in as I went, and really get that full immersion into everything. Yeah.
There's something so liberating about it. I'm so excited for you, and really kind of allowing yourself to just be led by spirit or your intuition too, along the journey, and you will be so amazed where it takes you if you just listen, and that is so cool. I'm like so stoked for you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited. And I've enjoyed, now that I'm like used to it, I've enjoyed driving a lot, because when I first got this car, I hadn't actually driven in a year and a half. So going from not driving at all to now driving alone for the first time was like a very big jump.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling good. Like I took myself on a hike this morning and like drove there, and like, you know, I'm getting more comfortable. So yeah.
Nice. I love it. Yeah. Especially I'm just stoked for you, because California, like that road trip, like from north to south or south to north, like it is just epic, and you could stop along the way and like,
well, and having friends in all these different places, like I know a couple different people around the Bay Area, but like different locations. And I have a friend who's like a couple hours north of that. And so I have different places throughout, which would be neat, because it would also kind of like force me to explore places I might not otherwise go to. So that's kind of neat too.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is so cool. Thanks. I'm so excited for you.
We'll see. But yeah, on the topic of journeys, you have stories for me. No, I'm kidding. It's very fitting we are having this talk now, if I may
thinking the same thing.
Start by saying that. Because I don't know how much you've seen, and like by the time, and I've been pretty public about things without like in your face about things, but my now former partner and I uncoupled in August. And so like we were engaged, the wedding had been set, like all that stuff.
I didn't see that. Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't blast it, but like gradually have made updates, and people have kind of caught on sometimes, you know, whatever. But with that, oh Lord, has been realizing all of my, well, one, like unprocessed trauma. So like I am deep in that and like the shadow work and all that stuff right now. But also with that, I think comes like codependent tendencies. And for me, like anxious avoidant attachment style, which relates really a lot to trauma, which I didn't know. And like I'm unpacking all these things. And so at first when you be like codependency, I was like, oh yeah, okay. And now I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Cause like that is me.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude,
I like the preparation, like the lean back and like get ready, like brace yourself. Here we go. Yeah.
It shows up in the sneakiest ways too, and it can be really subtle, and it really does. It's all this. It stems from childhood, as you know, and I literally right before we hopped on, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is so synchronistic, because all of my moving into this house with other conscious humans who I admire, and they're very mature. All of my codependency patterns are just rearing their heads, and having to take a look at it. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm feeling you.
Open to sharing a bit of what that's looking like for you?
Yes, absolutely.
As you prepare with coffee, always. It's the nature of the show. It's perfect.
Yeah. So I have this story in my mind that when I enter like conscious community or like a spiritual community, I have this story in my mind that like they're all more evolved than I am. Like they are more spiritual than I am. They are more woke than I am. And it's the story that I create. So then I, from there, create this like separation between me and then this other group, like this separation. And I did that like immediately when I came into this household. They're all like 5 years older than me. They're all artists and healers, and they're doing all the things. And I felt so inferior to them and just wanted to be like liked and accepted so bad that I maybe didn't speak my full authentic truth, and maybe said things that weren't totally in alignment with my truth, because that just desire to be liked so bad. And it feels really uncomfortable. Like it's a really uncomfortable feeling to like betray yourself in that way. And we actually helped. So I think I told you I have been on like a very profound medicine journey, and I've been following the medicine path this past year, especially with different plant medicines that I work with. And we held a medicine ceremony on Saturday, and we sat with San Pedro, which is part of the mescaline family. It's a cactus. And so they say that like ayahuasca is the grandmother and San Pedro or like peyote is more like the grandfather. So it's the grandfather is a little more gentle with you in versus ayahuasca. That's really, ayahuasca is more intense. She kind of just slaps you and is like, this is what you need to work on. Whereas San Pedro, I asked the plant, I just said, please show me like anything that I'm not seeing right now, any blind spots. And this codependency stuff, this stuff from childhood, was just magnified at this ceremony, because that's really what the medicines aren't going to do the work for you. They just show you what you might need to work on or what you're not seeing. And
I feel like that's like most spiritual tools, like,
yes,
and when they're respected, I don't want to say used properly, but like when they're respected and not, I was just talking to a friend about this too, not treated as a like be all end all of what your life must be, right? Like even talking astrology, when it's used as a tool and in that more like malleable way, I feel like it really, like all these things can support us on that path to like our highest good, whatever that looks like moment to moment. If that makes sense. And
yes.
there was one thing I was going to call in if that's acceptable.
Yes.
The comment of blind spots. An alternative that I was taught recently would be to say knowledge gaps.
I love
it takes
that.
out the ableist language. Yeah, so I thought you'd be open to that. So I hope that's okay.
I so am, because literally just yesterday I was thinking about like how.
What else can I say? Yeah.
Well, our spells, and I'm all like, I love when people, just give me that invitation to maybe say something in a different way. Because our words are so powerful. Abracadabra.
Thank you.
And so be it. So thank you. And yeah, like just on that topic, I mean, with the medicines, it's like a lot of people, I think, go down that journey. And I've been there too, where like I've come to the medicine with this attitude of like, okay, what can you do for me? Like, and it really has to come from this place of like honoring and full reverence and, just open to what the teaching of the consciousness of the plant has to tell you. And a lot of people, though, they do all these medicine ceremonies, but they're not doing the work every day. Like every day should be the ceremony. Yeah. And so they kind of become dependent, and it kind of just becomes this escapism thing where they are just using the medicines to get high.
That would have been my journey. So yeah.
Well, I was there too at one point. Yeah. And I was definitely there at one point for sure, just in my nature. But yeah, so going back to just the codependency stuff, I was emotionally abused as a child, and I would go into this like trauma response where my whole body would freeze, and I couldn't talk. Like it felt like my throat was paralyzed, just out of like fear of doing something wrong or saying something wrong, just from the emotional abuse that I experienced at a really young age. And so I just was always in this like trauma response for a very long time. And on Saturday during this medicine ceremony, like I felt that come up again. Like I felt myself as that little girl again, just like frozen, didn't know what to say. I was having a really hard time expressing my needs in the moment and what I wanted. And it was really, really confronting and really comfortable because, you never like, I feel like we never, do we ever heal these things like all the way like that? I don't know, like, or do we just hold them in a different way? Like, because when it came up on Saturday, I was like, I thought we were done with this.
I checked that one off the list. I said good day.
I thought we were done with this stuff. And so like really, really confronting of like feeling so like this fear of judgment that was like crippling, and this like paranoia, like everyone is judging me, everyone's talking about me, like it's all about me, and everyone cares so much, like, and then I was feeling this guilt of like, I can't believe I brought this into the space. So there was a lot there, and I just retreated and had a lot to sit with, and I've been processing this past week in a really healthy way, and it's been feeling good. And sometimes those intense I feel like those intense medicine ceremonies are usually the most beneficial to us. They're not always comfortable, that's for sure. They're not like just like bliss, happy, love.
Most of this growth isn't.
Exactly. And it's like I didn't choose the medicine path. I feel like the medicine path kind of chose me.
Yeah.
That has been my journey, and so using that as a tool has been really profound. But yeah, it's really confronting sometimes and really uncomfortable. And I don't know where else I was going with that, with the codependency stuff, but if you want to like help me redirect.
When there's a couple things actually from this, and I don't know if they directly necessarily relate to codependency, but like we talk. That's what this is. It's like there was a theme, but we're talking because that's how life goes, right?
Yes.
One, when you mentioned your like voice freezing, that I got like, and again, I get chills down my right side. That happens for me a lot in my dreams. I'm given, okay, my guide is like hella here right now because like I always get chills on the right side when
I'm getting chills all over my body. So
yeah. I'm given tasks in my dreams sometimes, and I really need to repaint my nails. Sometimes they are lessons, so not real. It's like a simulation for me to practice tools that I need to practice. Other times it has been real. So like I have crossed spirits in my sleep. I have been given scary energies to confront in my sleep that didn't necessarily exist. It was like different guides presenting those to me to be like, are you ready for this? Can you handle it?
Yes.
And so last night I had forgotten about this dream, even though it was quite vivid, and I haven't had one happen for a while. And I think I know why it happened. Because like yesterday I was talking to a friend and I mentioned this to him and I was like, why don't you ask for practice in your sleep if you're worried about seeing things in like day-to-day life? So then I got one. But it happened last night and I was like, and I forgot about it until I was on my hike this morning because I went on that solo hike. And about halfway through, I like had this image and I was like, oh shit, like that happened last night. And it was like, I was in a hotel. I'm just going to tell it to you because I haven't unpacked it yet. It's fascinating to me.
Yes.
I was in this hotel, but it was like a bigger hotel. And I was in a room by myself. And something, I don't remember what happened to alert me to it, but I could tell that there was something there. And I would go from like the bed, which was by the front door, around, and then there was like a kitchen on like the other side of the main wall. Kind of a weird, I don't know, weird, but it's a dream. So why would the layout make sense? And I would go in there and all the cupboards would be open. So I'd like close them all and like go back, and then it would happen again. And I walked towards that part of this room, and and it happens every time that I approach these things with fear is my voice freezes. And this is a theme since I was a kid, because I remember watching, oh God, what is that show? Are
You Afraid of the Dark?
That or the other one. Like there were two, you know, like
Goosebumps.
Probably that one. So I remember having this dream and there was like a hovering coffin with like a corpse thing coming out of it, like coming towards me. And I swear I was awake and I tried to scream and I couldn't. And eventually I woke up, but it's that same freezing where I'm like trying so hard to yell and like nothing is coming out. And it's like, as long as I approach it with fear in my dreams, that is what happens. And finally I got my voice to come out. And I was like, this is where it got kind of funny. I basically shouted like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, like, ah. And then I think like my mom came in and was like, what's going on? And like, I told her to leave and whatever. And then I was sitting back on the bed. This is a long version of the story, but like there was so much sitting back on the bed. And I think somehow I calmed down. And that is when this spirit came to talk to me. And like he was stuck, and it was like talking to a friend though. That was the interesting thing. It was like talking to a friend. And so we're sitting on the bed together. And I think I was trying to ask like what happened. And I looked down and my hand was resting on a baby that was like wrapped in white, but had like blood on its chest. And I was like, what's going on? And this is very like, people listening to this, like this could be really disturbing. So like, feel free to skip ahead a couple minutes, just in case. But I kind of asked him like, what happened to you? And I guess what happened was this is the part that makes no sense, but it's a dream. His dad was hugging him, but was holding like one of those knives where you press a button and it comes out, and it stabbed him like as a baby. But the thought I got was that it was actually intentional, but like he couldn't talk about codependency. Like he couldn't understand why someone he loved would do something like this. So he understood it as a mistake. And so I was seeing the person he could have become. That's the spirit that I was seeing. And so when we settled all of that, I remember an interaction too where I was like, man, it's too bad because like you're really cute. And he was like, yeah, I also would have been like super gay if I'd actually grown up. And I was like, damn. And that was like our interaction. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but it settled. And I think he moved on, and then I left the hotel. So like that was my dream. Like it's very, I don't know. Anything come up for you from that?
Yes. Like, so for starters,
There's a lot. Yeah.
well, for one, what immediately got is like, that has happened to me in dreams too, where my throat closes, but I've never made the correlation of like, they were, because I do believe that our dreams carry medicine and lessons, and it's the way our guides communicate with us. And like, but I never like connected the two.
I always studied in my sleep, like when I was back in school, because I have a photographic memory. So I could actually pull up a page of a textbook and read it when I'm sleeping. Like, so for me, that connection was drawn pretty quickly where I was like, oh, I'm just practicing in my sleep. Cause like I did that. I always did that.
And
yeah.
Yeah. And another thing I got too was just like, is this then, like, I've never been a lucid dreamer.
Lucid dreamer. Yeah. And I was.
Where you can like control what you're doing in your dreams, which I find really fascinating though now as you're saying this, because then you're able to, when you're visited by spirits in your sleep, you can have these conversations with them and like redirect the energy or be able to voice things or make shifts while you're in this state. Is almost like your higher self is doing all like this work in the dream world, and while your body, physical body is sleeping. And I don't know if you know Shaman Durek at all, but I don't know, he just like, I don't know if you follow any of his stuff, but
I've heard the name, but I haven't, no.
I just love the way that when he's confronted by any, not that this was a dark energy or, it wasn't a dark energy. Or
real, like, I don't know. Cause I've had ones where I knew it was real and that like, I was like, I don't know, like if it's on the astral plane or whatever, but I was definitely interacting with an energy that needed to cross. There's been other times where it's like, this is simulated solely for me to practice this so that when it's real, I can do it. And I don't know what this was. Yeah.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just really, because can you ask, like maybe ask your guides, like, is this real or are these just lessons for me?
Yeah. Normally if I journal about it, like actually put pen to paper, it'll come up. Like that's how I connect a lot of the time. Recently I had a spirit in my house and I found out that it was a test and I somewhat failed, but I learned, so I didn't fail. I learned what I needed to. I just, the way I handled it wasn't maybe what was intended, but probably wasn't unexpected. I just thought of Shaman Durek. I don't know why, because I just listened to, he did a live, an Instagram live with Elizabeth April. I don't know if you know her. They did an Instagram live a few days ago, and he was talking about how like when spirits will come and visit him, like when he's trying to sleep, and the way he approaches it was just cracking me up. Like they were like, I guess this dark spirit was trying to attack him, and he was like, okay, I'm bored now. Like, I'm bored. What do you, like the way he is able to like fearlessly just confront them, because sometimes they can feel so real. If you've ever been confronted like at night or I don't know why I thought of him, but thank you for sharing that with me. Of course, it was a lot, and unpacking it now, I was like, there's a lot more there than I think I even realized, but that was my dream last night. So there's that.
Wow.
And then the other thing you meant, and so, okay, because I hadn't on my own side made any connection between like trauma response, codependency, and the freezing of my voice. And granted, this is a different circumstance, but I think that's something I'll have to look into more, is like, what is that rooted in? Like, why, when I am facing some sort of confrontation, we'll say, does my voice go? Like, why do I freeze? And that very well might relate back to like one, childhood trauma, but also like those codependent tendencies of like, well, if I say the wrong thing, like if this is conflict, then I get abandoned, right? Or hurt, and I think in these instances, probably more like hurt is the thing, because it's scary dealing with this other dimension, or can be. But yeah, I feel like you're giving me some homework. Thank you.
That is such a good point though, because that's it for me. It's like, if I'm fully expressed in this moment, if I fully speak my truth, then the story is someone is going to make me wrong for it, or I'm going to be wrong for it, or I'm going to be rejected or I'm going to be judged, and like this crippling fear of judge. And then, so we take on that belief as a child, and then we reinforce the belief time and time again throughout the span of our lives. And it becomes so real that that's why, you know, then it hopefully comes up in our adult life for us to like start unpacking, rewiring, because it like gets so gosh darn cemented. And and that was another thing I got to in the ceremony I was in last Saturday. I was like, this is all an illusion. Like, it's not real. Like, I felt like a crazy person because I'm like, I'm making all of this up in my mind. Like, no one is judging me. No one is looking at me. No one freaking cares. Like, this is all an illusion.
They're all just thinking that on their own in like all these little corners. Yeah.
I pulled 2 tarot cards before ceremony that morning, and guess what they were? Illusion and guilt.
Yeah.
And I had never even explored guilt. I was like, I've had my fair share of shame in exploring my relationship with shame, but never guilt. But totally saw how it came up in the ceremony, because like I said, I felt guilty for bringing my quote unquote pain into the space.
You know, I think that guilt and codependency, because I actually was just talking to my mom about this morning, I think they can really go, ow, rude. Shut up. They can go hand in hand. And like the way that I was thinking about it is like, even though some of my relationships, like family, whatever, and I always preface this with like, I am not speaking ill of what any family member has done along the way. Like, fully believe everyone has done the best they could with what they had at the time. And like, we're all going through our own growth and own processes and, you know, all that stuff. And I now have these experiences to draw on as a tool to like share here or show up for others who I can see are in a similar situation. And so in that sense, it's a really powerful experience to draw from, not something like sad or negative. And I think it's important to reframe it that way. But realizing that in these codependent, dysfunctional relationships that I had growing up, I think the guilt came a lot of the time when, for myself at least, I was fighting for the attention I wanted, right? Like I was trying so hard to get the approval or the validation from my father, for example. And because of that, I was so anxious and so terrified I would do something wrong that like the slightest decision that I made would like paralyze me with fear and overwhelm me with guilt, because I thought if I did this thing that like they wouldn't want me. Like, and so, but it did come through as guilt. Because I felt guilty because for whatever reason, 10-year-old Natalie thought she actually had that amount of control and responsibility in the situation, which that is too much for any child to have. And no one did that to me necessarily. It's just the state of affairs was such that, and my self was such that, like, that's how I figured it out. But like that, oh my God, talking like child, because I haven't done like explicit like inner child work, but like it is heartbreaking to think that a kid would believe that they held that much responsibility and weight on their shoulders.
And you are doing the work, like just maybe it doesn't look the way that other people might say this, but you are doing the work because your awareness of this 10-year-old girl, that is what's healing, because it's like you can now like be like, oh my gosh, you poor thing, and like just really honor her and be like, oh, because that's what I like. These parts of us, they just want to be seen and acknowledged, and it's like, oh, you poor like I really do. Like sometimes I will imagine my 10-year-old self or my 7-year-old self or my 3-year-old self and like be like, you poor little like girl. And it's just, yeah, that's really powerful work. So just thank you for doing the work, because that's it right there. Reparenting ourselves again.
Yeah, it's I think I have, apparently these shows lately are just like Natalie unpacking her deep psychology for the world to witness.
I love it.
That's fine.
I love it. I know, I love it.
I definitely, and I don't know, maybe you too, like you share, but I am very resistant to the lingo. I think because people, and same with like the astrology thing I mentioned at the beginning, people get so wrapped up in like this specific paradigm.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for terms to be explicitly defined so that we can understand them. I also believe on the flip side, almost when like a certain method is too well articulated, it becomes less accessible. And so it's, you just pointed out something really important. Like, just because I'm not like paying for a course that's called like heal your inner child doesn't mean I'm not doing what you might label inner child work. And
Right.
also, if that label feels weird, fucking leave it behind. It doesn't matter.
It looks different for everyone.
Yeah.
It's going to look different for everyone. I love that. And my new housemate is the same. Like, she's very Aquarian, and she, if it becomes like mainstream or like everyone's using the term, she's like, fuck it. I'm like, I like have so much resistance, and I just chuckle because I feel that too. Really, but I try to like even just stay out of the mainstream stuff. But that whole thing of like healing the inner child, I know is it's such like a thing. It's such a thing. And then it gets, I guess it does, it gets watered down. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, so I was just saying, I did a card pull and it came up and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, yeah.
What was the card pull?
I have like oracle cards. So when I'm in my records, I normally do a card pull, and like my guides will show me what cards to pull. And
oh, got you.
Yeah, okay. So I did that, and it had to do with like the challenge being the inner child stuff to get to whatever my outcome is supposed to be.
Yeah. I love, I think play is really important. Like, because there's so many different parts of this inner child. There's so many different parts of us. And there's the judgy bitchy one, and there's like the angry one, the one who wants to, like, there's so many different parts that like society is deemed bad or wrong. So then we feel shame that they even exist within us. So then we suppress them. And it's like, let's give those parts of us a voice. Like, let's create a safe space where those parts can be expressed and felt and seen and acknowledged. That's what I'm all about lately too. And just how you were talking about, you mentioned, and something came to me too, about like bringing more of like an acceptance around these topics, like destigmatizing. Is that the right term? Like destigmatizing just, well, like mental health in general, but like the shame and like all these like whatever quote unquote uncomfortable parts of us, like our sexuality, all these things. And that's another thing that I got after the medicine ceremony. I felt so fucking inspired to I'm like, I want to talk about this more because we all feel it. And it needs to be destigmatized. People are so afraid to go there. I'm like, I want to go to like the darkest crevice we can possibly go. Like, let's go there. Because we all are connected by the same pain and trauma and suffering. So yeah, that's why I'm like stoked to even just be having this conversation, because like needs to be talked about.
And that's been a big thing I'm looking at too, is really like embracing the shadow. And like, I'm reading that book at an existential kink right now, and it's been like super awesome. And I think that's
part of that.
The thing I've not liked about all of this is like, shower such and such with love, and like, you know, the love and light and da da da. And the thing this book said was like, what is it? It's like, the more you shine light over here, the darker this part becomes. Like, we need to integrate. And that doesn't mean the darkness becomes light even. It's like, where is the pleasure in the darkness? Because there is.
Yes.
It's like, why do I, like, if we're talking like spiritual stuff, why do I choose to keep looking into that dark corner of my room trying to figure out what's there? You know what I mean? Like, I look, I don't turn the light on. I'm looking into the darkness. So like, do that in my own life and like enjoy it.
Yeah. That's why, dude, I just thought of like BDSM and like that's like that whole world. I like, if it is, you know, done with someone who can properly hold space, and this is like the work that they feel called to do in the world. Like, I met a woman on Saturday who like totally opened my eyes to all of this, and the way that she was talking about it and communicating, I'm like, yo, I'm interested, like, sign me up. I'm like, yes. It's
and that's also what I'm kind of starting to explore, is like, how can not just like the existential kink, but like actual, like more sexual kink, whether
Yeah.
it's physical or psychological,
Hmm.
be a safe platform in which to engage in these things. Because it's interesting. Like the other day, I was like, conflict. Like, and I think when we talk about codependency, the thing that's coming up for me is fear of conflict. It's just like that
Yep.
people pleasing, right? Like I'll do whatever I can to avoid the conflict. But it's like, but what if the conflict is exciting? Like, what if there is turn
Mm.
on in the conflict? And so then I'm
Yes.
thinking like, and this isn't like my ideas. This is just what's tumbling from the work I've been doing. You know what I mean? So I don't want to like take credit for someone else's thing, but then it's
Yeah.
like, well, what if I explored conflict in a safe way with like a partner in a physical way or a psychological way through like a back and forth play, whatever. And I got the pleasure from it in a place that wouldn't also maybe have like whatever, and not like a negative impact on a relationship, but like, you know, like allowing myself to engage with it in an exciting way and like figuring out how
Yes.
that looks okay for me.
Oh,
And then it takes some pressure off those circumstances in like the day-to-day life where you're like, oh, well, I wanted pizza and you want Indian food. Like maybe this is for myself, but I'll say we
yeah.
because it's just like in my head, it's like this
Well,
thing. It's like maybe we wouldn't fight so much here if we let ourselves enjoy conflict over here. I don't know.
I love this so much, but it's like it's an art form. I believe it's
Mhm.
an art form, and I feel like we don't. Well, I say we, but I feel like the general like we don't have the lingo. We don't have the lingo for it. Like no one's taught this, but like, yeah, how cool would it be if we set our intention and open up the space and like created this container of like anything goes, or like being able to fully express like I'm being triggered here. And even when I was talking about the BDSM stuff too, it's like it doesn't even have to be sexual. It could just be like healing just by, touch or whatever it is. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that, but this conversation just so excites me of yeah, like how can we do it in a playful way and a safe way where we create that container. And with that being said, it's like the two humans kind of have to be able to like have that capacity and
Mhm.
the language and like know what they're getting into. So it's like I said, I think it's an art form, but it could be the most, it's like it has potential to be so
Yep.
transformative and so incredibly healing.
Absolutely. Well, and I think conversations like this are even the start of it, right? Like you and I currently are talking about some like heavy
Mhm.
shit, but we are excited about it. And like that alone is kind of kinky because it's like we're
Yeah.
getting excited about something taboo in the more like emotional sense
Yep.
of the term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm even noticing just thinking about like if my parents were to watch this or hear this of like
Oh,
or
my
other maybe
Nana
just
has shared my videos on masturbation. It's a grand
I
old
love
time.
it. But just thinking about I'm what's coming up for me right now is like
Mm,
that judgment again of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be judged so hard. And um but at the end of the day, like we gotta be ourselves, we gotta speak our truth. And what someone mentioned to this, it was a beautiful reminder, and I've heard this many times before, but I got this reminder the other day. It's like, so say this does trigger someone, like good, like that's medicine for that person.
mhm,
And if we all want to evolve, like as a collective, there's something greater at
mhm.
play. It's not all about me. So like, fuck it. Like I piss someone off or trigger someone, and that might be medicine to them. They might not know it,
Mhm.
like be consciously aware of it, but
So I've always, once again, a word I take issue with, trigger. And I plan
okay,
to
yay, let's talk about that. I love it.
unpack this a different day. But well, it's more like I think at the end of the day, if the word serves you and feels supportive, use it, right?
Okay.
For
Do you have
me,
any other words? So I'm so
well,
open to it.
my mentor, just the way that she taught me about that word was that a trigger only happens when I'm not connected to my higher power. Cause like my higher power is always like spirit, whatever it is. I just use that term as like a general all encompassing term, right? My higher power is kind of like my almost like defense against that stuff. And so it might come up as like a lesson or something I need to process or like integrate or whatever. It's not to say it won't have any impact on me, but I won't feel triggered by it. Like I can move through it more peacefully so long as I'm in conscious contact with a higher power. And so for me, the word trigger, or because I find often when that word is used, at least, and maybe people use it more like subtly than I've been accustomed to, but I find often it's used in a way that is like, you see like trigger warnings, and it's like, whoa, can't do that. Right.
Right.
And so that's how I kind of interpret it. And for me, that would mean I'm not in contact with my higher power. I'm not tuning into the tools that I need, whatever, to be able to address it and move through it peacefully. And so it's more like if something comes up as that like guttural reaction of like, oh, not that thing, then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to talk to God for a second. And it's not to say I won't have a reaction. It's just that if I'm tuned in that way, I have the tools I need to process it to the extent that I need to. And it can feel a bit more neutral. If that makes sense.
I really like that. I really like that because trigger does the frequency of the word, like it holds some, it's dense. It's really heavy.
And we've given it that, like with all these trigger warnings, that's why like, and I mean, I don't think there shouldn't be a warning. I think that using the word trigger presupposes someone's reaction, and that is problematic for allowing them their journey of processing and evolution. So like in my group, one of our admin guideline things is if you're worried about the subject matter, you can put content includes, a very neutral label, right? Because if something says content includes rape, and someone can make an informed decision based on that if they want to keep reading, I don't need to tell them that it's a trigger for them. They can decide that for themselves.
I really like that. I really appreciate that. As far as like the trigger warnings and stuff, I've taken like a really big break. Not a big, I want to say big break, but a pretty like whatever, decent sized break.
Substantial.
Yeah, like of social media. And so like, I know that's where you usually will find that term trigger warning. And so it hasn't really been super present in my field, just like in my conversations, because trigger it's just, I guess it has been an easy way for me to like name the uncomfortable reaction. But now I'm thinking like, what is a trigger? It's like, it just brings up uncomfortable stuff within or wounding within. Yeah, there's so much in that word. Anyway,
there is. No, I'm glad we got to unpack that a little, because I feel like it could be like a whole episode on its own, but
I agree.
Over time, I've been thinking about it a lot. And so I actually appreciate that came up, because
I'm glad it did too.
People always joke that I'm triggered by the word trigger. And I'm like,
dude, no,
I'm just someone who is in favor of questioning our use of language and seeing how it can be more supportive to the communities we are reaching out to.
Yeah, I love it. I noticed that too with you, like all of your, I don't know, like I see you always are coming up anytime I am on social media. I always see your name on like commenting on different like group posts and stuff. And I love how you are always like orienting back to a greater solution for all involved. I like so appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I don't know. I'm like, I haven't been that active lately, but no, I really do appreciate that. I think that's the thing. It's like, I can't tell someone what it is that they need to do. But like, maybe if we think about it in a different way, they'll be able to figure that out for themselves, like whatever that is. And if someone's articulating they're stuck on a path, like why reaffirm them being stuck on that path? Like,
some people are like, then they take it really personal though. And then they kind of are like, think that they did something wrong or, but you have a way of doing it in such a loving way, which is also great. Cause, it's like, here's this loving invitation, like take it or leave it.
Thanks.
Which I think that's really important. That. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Well, I am very not good at receiving positive feedback. So this is like, on the topic of all of the growth that we've been discussing through our time together so far today, this is an example where like I need to work on that. And like I talked to a friend about this the other day, and because I had given him like, I expressed love like outwardly in a group, but like tagged him. It was his group. He was like, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to say big thank you to you. And he was like, that was super uncomfortable, but like, I really appreciate it. Because growing up, and I don't think it was like intentional, and I don't know if you can relate to this, but like I didn't get positive feedback Like I only got feedback when I did something wrong or not good enough. And so similarly, I am not good at giving people positive reinforcement.
It's my love language.
Is it?
Yeah, it's my love language.
Mine is presence.
That's a very important one.
At least as of now, because that's what I grew up with. Like it could very well change in time as I unpack a lot of this stuff. I don't know, but
yeah. I'm just like reflecting now too. I'm like, I wonder why. Like, where did that come from? Of like the words of affirmation, because that's totally how I give and receive. Yeah, that's a really important one too. Just knowing your love language.
Is that something you grew up with? Do you mind me asking that?
Growing up with words of affirmation?
Yeah.
No, that's the thing. Like I
this
didn't
was your active rebellion.
Yeah, right. I blocked out a lot of my childhood, but I want to say
me too.
I want to say, yeah, don't we all? I want to say I maybe did receive. I think I did. Like I also I received a lot of words of affirmation, but also received a lot of abuse too. So
yeah, I mean that's a tricky one too, because if like I don't want to like I don't know your situation. We don't need to go too far into the like really personal stuff, obviously too. But
yeah,
I feel like just like objectively theorizing about it in situations that maybe are a bit more explicitly verbally abusive, it might make sense that there's a balance of the positive affirmations to keep that person attached, right? To like keep them coming back into that situation. It's like that, like where people fall in love with their kidnapper kind of thing. It's like that weird, like you destroy me, but you're also my only lifeline, so I have to stay here. Like you're the only thing that gives me like positive feelings about myself, even though you also break me down, so I have to stay here because I think nothing of myself without you. Like that sort of
that really resonates
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That really resonates.
And I feel like maybe I had some of that. I don't know if I've unpacked it enough to really figure it out, but I feel like my family was more the one that would just be silent. And silent. And then on the flip side, I learned that conflict meant abandonment.
Yeah.
So that's more what I'm kind of looking at. Cause like definitely even in like my last relationship, I remember like the first argument we ever had and I thought things were like done. And he was like, you know that people fight. And I was like, no, they don't. No, I don't fight with any of my friends. I don't do like whatever. Like, no, they don't.
That really resonates with me too.
Does it? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Like any sort of conflict is bad. But again, it's like we haven't had the language to like explore it in a safe way without thinking like, oh my gosh, this is like the end. If we like disagree on something, but it's like, of course we're gonna disagree on things. Like it does.
Is that song, you know that This Is the End, is that The Doors?
I don't know.
I feel like it is. I need to look up that song after this. I'll send it to you. I listen to like 70s rock frequently.
Yes. I'm like, dude, I love all music, so I need
my tastes are very eclectic. And it's a bit of a problem. But
I love it. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like it was. I don't know. I don't have like set taste, so I just listen to a bit of everything and like go along. And then people are like, well, "Who's your favorite artist right now?" And I was like, "Well, I can tell you one from a decade ago because like I don't know what's on the radio, so that's fun."
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like I was joking, like my from my one sad. Not that I only had one sad day post recent uncoupling, because like there have been many, and there will be more because it is an ongoing process, right? Like. I think we always will love these people in some, like there's always going to be things, you know? But I was going through like a particular day of like reorganizing my bedroom and like making my new bed and like reclaiming my space. But I also was just feeling like I needed to sit in the sadness. So I played Lana Del Rey for just one day. However, that one day now has her as my fucking anthem on my Tinder profile. I was like, I'm such a sad girl. Like, this is terrible. But then you go to like my next artist and it's like Dizzy Rascal. And then it's like Gabrielle and the Sequoias. And people are going to be like, what?
Dude, that's awesome though. It's like full spectrum.
Eclectic as fuck. Yeah.
Yes. Like full spectrum. Like all of it is welcome.
It's hilarious, right?
I know. I'm like, yeah, I do. I love that. I could use some like sad songs.
Sometimes it's really nice.
It's sometimes, yeah, it
I made a
is. You're just
playlist
letting yourself go there.
for a rainy day. So it's more like chill, like kind of melancholy music.
Yeah, you might have to send me these.
I can send it. Yeah, in the Soulscape Facebook group, I polled for songs to add to this playlist. I'm gonna like keep adding to it, but I plan to do like a couple different themed ones. So far I did the rainy day because it's Vancouver and it's been like, aside from today where it's just like cold, it's been pouring rain for like a month.
Wow.
So yeah.
Music has been such a big part of my journey and just like the work that I do and working with others.
Well, I remember your dancing videos.
Yeah, I know. I haven't posted a dancing video in a while. Like I said, I've been like taking this break from social media, but yeah, I feel like one will be coming soon. I've also been on this like journey too, so I haven't, like I said, I haven't had like a home, and I wanted to like get grounded first.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I love those dancing videos. I mean,
Thank you.
like a post necessarily, but they were just so beautiful and so free and like I don't know. It's something I don't want to say want to be able to do, but want to be comfortable sharing because I think I do these things. Yeah.
Thank you for just saying that, because that was really my intention of just like, I'm going to post this in hopes that it inspires someone else to just like express themselves freely.
Well, I did film myself dancing the other day, but it was a little.
I think I was going to say, nice. I was going to say, I thought I saw like you post a dance video.
I was hula hooping. Maybe
yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's incredible. And yeah, I've just for the longest time, like I've just was like so in my ego of like thinking that I had to dance in a certain way, and then this all other battle of like my ego would just get this trip when people would say that they like liked the way that I danced, and it was this whole thing. And so it's been really, really like my relationship with dance is just so evolved. And now it's like, I just let the music take me wherever. I like call in my guides before I started dance, and just like, I'm open to whatever, because it is such a profound way to move energy and move stuck emotions. Like we could talk about it all day long, but there's nothing better than getting in the body and just like shaking it out and just like getting out of your mind and being like, all right, how to like, you know, if you want to start off by just like you're angry and you want to have like a little tantrum at first, and like allowing yourself to like do that and go there, and then just moving however your body feels called. Just
we so wrapped up in thought, like even a lot of the language we use to describe things, it's talking about the thing. It's not pointing us into actually feeling and experiencing it, right? So like when I would always say like people talk about doing what's aligned, but the problem is they're talking about it. You're like making a list. You're not talking like, how do you experience alignment?
Yeah.
So like dance and play and these things, and like even relating it back to like childhood and like getting back into that place of like being able, and like sex is another, don't relate sex to childhood, but you know, different physical explorations that we do at any point in our lives, I think is a way to really get out of thought and into feeling. And my guides have been driving the point home that like the physical body, I get a lot of thoughts at once sometimes. There's in the spiritual community, there's like this big pull towards the ethereal, which is cool and all. However, we're incarnated for a reason. Like this body is my roadmap to soul. This body is necessary to experience soul to the fullest capacity. And so I need to engage with it if I want to also tune in to that ethereal plane. Right. And like my friend,
it can't be any other way.
No, she does Reiki for me. And 2 times now she's seen me and she's like, this hasn't really happened much before. She's seen me as this tree with like really deep roots and like big branches upward. And like, I think that's it, right? It's like, the more I go up, I need to use my physical body to root down to really integrate.
Gosh, this so resonates, especially with me on my journey of just like wanting to escape my body and not be in it. Do you know Phil Good? He's a mystic and just
I don't know many people.
So good. He considers himself the cosmic medium. Anyway, I follow his teachings, and he's been just a really important, I guess, guide for me in my journey. But he's mainly on YouTube, and he did a YouTube, I think it just came out last night, I want to say, but it's just interesting we're talking about this because that's what the main message that came through for him during his transmission was like, we have to heal the root chakra, like our lower chakras, in order to be able to go up and whatever it is, like explore these higher dimensions, and if we want to astral travel or really like use our psychic abilities for good on the 3D. But it's like we have to heal our root chakra first and foremost. Like we have to, and that's been such a big one for me too. Of like, I feel like that's where feelings of just like feelings of unsafety live, like feeling unsafe in our bodies, and like feel these feelings of like unworthiness. That's been a big one for me lately, of just like, feeling unworthy of like these beautiful things in my life that I've manifested, like are appearing in my physical reality, and I'm like feeling unworthy. And so really healing the root chakra and these like lower chakras in order to I can't really find the words that I'm looking for right now, but I feel like
I have my chakra wall behind me. So,
but
no, it makes sense. I actually got a message recently when I was in my records, and the thing they said was that I didn't think I was deserving of their energy. And so when you talk about being worthy, like, how am I supposed to explore up here if I don't think I deserve anything at my base, right? Like, I'm not going to be able to. And I think the other thing, because I got thrown into all of this through like a series of unfortunate events of little visitors in my house that I didn't want here. Like I need that security, but I need that grounding in this world. And like just for baseline safety. And so I have a lot of friends recently who have been like, I'm really trying to activate my third eye, and and like always my gut reaction is, what are you doing to ground? Like if you are not grounding equal parts to you reaching up, stop. Like you need to. And I tell you that because I didn't, and I suffered the consequences.
Yeah, this totally goes back to what I think we first started talking about, of like the medicines and like using the medicines just to like escape and to go to these different dimensions. And
whatever the tools are.
And whether it be breath work, meditation, like using meditation to escape. And I so am guilty of that for sure.
It happens. And I think sometimes too, like it makes sense. We get so excited about like a new gift we discover or whatever, and we just want to like full force go into that. But it's like, it's a practice, and it takes maintenance, and like, and I think with this person, the thing that I sensed and articulated to them was like, don't be afraid that focusing on your root and your grounding is going to like scale back the gifts that you've experienced. It actually might enhance them.
Yes. I just keep seeing the vision of the like you said, the like almost like this, the rooting coming from our root chakra, like down and going deep into the earth, and then seeing like the cosmos like being poured down into our crown, and just, we are the bridge between the two worlds. And I am learning that one every day.
You know what's interesting? Okay, maybe this is like I feel like we are coming to a really powerful natural close, and you just brought us back to something that came up to me when you were first talking that I want to share. I shared it in the group today, but I'll share it here too. So yesterday I went to the park because I've been receiving the message over and over that I am supposed to talk to trees, and I interpret their energies.
Yes.
So I went, and I was sitting at the park, and I let them talk through me. And the way that it happened was they basically it came out as me talking to them, but like they fed me that perspective, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And so what I was shown of these trees, or this specific tree I was talking with, and I'll just read this to you. You are a home, you know things that others don't. You've witnessed it all. You remember, you protect, you shelter. You are safety, security, and you are sad. You weep for the things that are broken. You bend with the changing currents and you adapt, but you won't succumb to the forces of darkness, of chaos, of pain. You witness, you cry, you save. This is your duty on this earth, and this life and all the lives, eternally the protector, the warrior, the gatekeeper, between this realm and the next. You are Father.
Yes. 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 You received this from the tree?
Mhm.
Mm. Oh, this is like one of my, I I just have a thing for trees too.
They're awesome.
So
Yeah, I know.
that's why I moved up here.
Mm-hmm.
A tree came to me in a dream and
That's
told me to
perfect.
move up here. But anyway,
I'm for it. I'm like all for
so
that.
wow, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful.
Reading it now, I like got chills. The interesting thing too about it was like when I reread it, I read it and I posted it to my Instagram because I started an Instagram that's like private and it's just my journaling. So like you can
Yeah,
follow me. It's just I'm not like public and trying to get people. I'm just using it for myself.
right.
And I
Love
posted it.
that.
I reread it today and was like, I don't remember that is what was said. Like, you know, those moments where you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like that was,
Yeah.
but I just
I
that,
am like still just marinating in it.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely want if you could send me that was
I
it's
can.
really profound too of just like you are sad. You are all the things. It's and you're not like this like the trees they teach us how they're so rooted. Like there's nothing like unwavering. Wow.
Yeah, it was. I'm gonna go back. They're also the ones that told me to go on a hike this morning. So I was like, fine, I'll go walk with the trees. Like, yeah.
I'll
Um,
go spend more time with you guys. Sure.
I forget what
It's
it
my
was. You
own.
said something at the beginning that had reminded me of talking to the trees. So I love that it kind of looped back to that, and also that notion of father, because I know a lot of like talking codependence. Like a lot of my things I'm realizing now are to do
Mm,
with my relationship with father, and so for
mm,
me, I think that was a recognition of like this is the arc, and I don't know if trees relating to a father exists in any sort of culture. Like I don't know, but
yeah.
the way this was presented to me, I think, is like this is the archetype of father, of what it is intended to be. Um, maybe what I need, like I don't know, but what it pointed to, I think, was that they can be a tool for me to work through a lot of these things. And like I might not have the relationship I want with my like biological father in this incarnation, but that's not to say I don't have father as like an energy or a support.
Mm, hmm. That really resonates. Wow.
Oh, I love this.
And
So
we are, and then like at the same time, and yeah, we have all these archetypes that we could call on. We have them as our support, and then at this, like simultaneously, we are all the things too. Like we are the father, the mother,
mm-hmm.
the crone, the maiden. Like I love this. I love it. I love it.
Thank you for being here for me to share that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for just holding impeccable space, just being present.
Oh, so happy. I'm so happy right now.
Me too. Me
I've
too.
really enjoyed all of this conversation. I feel like we, as always, we cover so many things, but it just, I don't know, every step of this to me felt like exactly what needed to be talked about. And at least on an individual level has been like so powerful.
Me
And I
too.
trust that it will be for people who tune into. So I really appreciate you being here and sharing.
Thank you for inviting me onto this platform to
You're
share.
welcome
Yeah,
back anytime.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Coffee Time. Before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if today's show resonated, I invite you to drop into the comment section and share whatever personal introspection came up for you today. anything you can do to help make this show more accessible is super duper appreciated. Until next time, I am your host and coffee drinking companion, Natalie, wishing you a beautifully caffeinated day.